Jessica had fallen in love with a man who researched emotions like stock portfolios and practiced kissing like a presentation he was giving to investors. The 100 roses on her vanity proved he still didn't understand. She didn't want grand gestures copied from the internet. She wanted him to stay instead of thanking her like a client and walking out. Let's take a peek into the diary of Jessica Taylor as we explore the question, what if love doesn't feel like the books? Jessica froze within the doorway of her small room tucked in the servants' wing of the Choi estate. Sitting on the vanity, a modest piece compared to the ornate furniture in the main house, was a bouquet of 100 red roses. She approached them slowly, as if they might detonate. Nestled among the crimson petals was a card, heavy cream cardstock, beautiful handwriting, 3 words. Happy Valentine's Day. Who? Why? Wrong room? Then she felt his presence behind her. That particular stillness that belonged only to him. I hope you like roses. His voice was warm, but somehow still cold, distant. She turned, searching his eyes, but he didn't look at her directly. He never did. Why? She whispered. She saw a slight flinch in his jaw. If you don't like them, you can get rid of them. He turned to walk away. They'd been doing this same dance for 3 months now. She needed answers. Stop running away, she commanded. Talk to me. He froze. What am I to you? Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Speak. Her voice came out as a whispered scream. Say it. He ran his fingers through his dark hair as if trying to catch the words that might escape from there. She did something unthinkable for an employee. She grabbed his arm and turned him around to face her. Say it now or... She trailed off, not knowing how to finish the threat. Then she said the only thing that felt true. Taeyang, I can't do this anymore. I quit. His eyes widened, finally meeting hers for just a fraction of a second before darting away. Now to understand what Jessica was feeling, you need to understand the real story. So, let's go back in time to 6 months before this all began. Jessica had started working for the Choi household because she was desperate. Senior year tuition wasn't going to pay itself, and when she saw the job listing on the university board for a live-in maid, it seemed like the perfect solution, one paycheck solving 2 problems. Money plus free room and board. The Choi estate was magnificent in an understated way. Old money didn't need to shout. The family consisted of Mr. and Mrs. Choi, who traveled frequently for business, and their son Taeyang, who was 26 and ran the family's tech investments from his study. From the first day, Jessica was always aware of the pair of eyes watching her. The attention was uncomfortable, but never intrusive, never threatening. Just observing. 1 month in, he finally spoke to her. He came into the kitchen, a place he apparently never visited. Where should I leave this? He held an empty teacup he usually left on his desk for collection. Jessica pointed to the counter. Right there is fine, Mr. Choi. She didn't expect him to linger after setting it down, hands in his pockets, standing perfectly still. Is there something else, Mr. Choi? No. I mean yes. A pause. You can call me Taeyang. Jessica studied him for a while. He seemed aloof yet somehow perceptive, taking in everything while appearing to focus on nothing in particular. Okay, Taeyang. That became their routine. He would bring his teacup. She would wash it. Small exchanges. Here you go, Taeyang. Thank you, Jessica. Sometimes more words, sometimes not. Then one afternoon, Jessica overheard the other household staff talking in the hallway. Poor Mr. Choi, one of the older maids said. Too bad about his mind, another agreed. Takes him time, you know. Jessica stopped folding laundry. He's too smart in other ways, brilliant really, but still childlike in some things. That night, Jessica lay in bed, unable to sleep. She took out her laptop and did something she'd told herself she'd never do. She Googled the Choi family. There it was in plain sight once you knew to look for it. His posture. The way he never made direct eye contact. His rigid routines. The article mentioned it only briefly, respectfully. Taeyang Choi, diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder as a child, has overcome significant challenges to become one of the youngest investment advisors in the country. Autism, she whispered into the darkness of her room. It all made sense now. The lingering stares, the precise routines, the careful way he formed sentences as if translating from another language. But Jessica also noticed something else over the following weeks. He was changing, speaking more, even though it clearly required effort, staying longer during their kitchen exchanges, asking questions. Why do you always hum when you clean? Do you prefer tea or coffee? What are you studying at university? He was trying, and he was trying with her. 2 months in, Jessica started noticing her workload getting lighter. Dishes would be mysteriously done. Less clutter to clean. Towels neatly placed in the hamper instead of on the floor, and she knew exactly whose floor. Then one evening, he appeared at her room door. Jessica. He never announced his presence, just started talking when he decided to speak. She startled. Yes, Taeyang. How does it feel to kiss? What? I'm reading this book, and it says the characters felt electric. He held up a worn paperback romance novel. Is that real? Jessica set down her textbook. Well, sometimes books exaggerate things to make them more interesting. Although it can feel that way for some people. For most, it may not be quite so dramatic. I want to try. Her heart skipped. Is there a girl you like? Yes, he said immediately. Then you need to ask her permission first. That's very important. He nodded seriously, as if memorizing instructions. You walk up to her and say her name. That's also important. Say her name. Then tell her the specific things you like about her. Not just physical things, but small things you notice that she does. Small things. Confusion creased his brow. Yes, like her favorite color, or foods she enjoys, or when you notice her being kind. Things like that. Then tell her you'd like to kiss her, if that would be okay with her. You'll know if she might say yes if she doesn't move away from you, or doesn't say no right away. Taeyang was paying attention as if this were the most important lesson of his life. Then he said, "Can I practice with you?" Jessica hesitated, then agreed. Okay, go in the hallway, knock on the door this time, and wait for me to invite you in. Got it. Got it. He practiced. When he couldn't remember the words, he would start over. 11 times he did that, his frustration mounting with each attempt. Taeyang, Jessica finally said gently, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just genuine. Okay, one last time. He knocked. She opened the door. Jessica, he began, meeting her eyes for just a moment before looking at her shoulder. I like the way you hum songs from the radio while you work, even when you forget the words. I like that you leave sticky notes with reminders for yourself everywhere, even though you always remember anyway. I like that you're patient when I don't understand things right away. I like you very much. May I kiss you? Jessica's breath caught. That was perfect. Then he did it. He kissed her long and deep and surprisingly sure. And what do you know? She felt it. Sparks. Electric. Everything the books promised. For 6 nights straight, he appeared for what Jessica privately called his nightly electricity. Each time, he would ask permission. Each time, she would grant it. On the 7th night, as they came up for air, Jessica said, Taeyang, you don't have to ask anymore. I think we're beyond that now. That was her mistake. Taeyang showed up like clockwork every night after that. Then on the 14th night, as they lay in her small bed fully clothed, simply kissing, he said, I finally finished the book. I want to try something new. I want to have sex. Jessica sat up. I don't think we should do that. Save that for the person you really care about. I want to have it with you. I really care about you. No, you're just experimenting. That should be saved for someone you really love. Love. He tried out the word as if tasting something foreign. He abruptly stood and left. Jessica felt a strange tightness in her chest. She didn't want to care, let alone love. But she did. God help her, she did. Taeyang didn't come the next 3 nights. According to the other staff, he'd locked himself in his study. Jessica knew what that meant. He was researching, processing, trying to understand. Then on the 4th night, he appeared again. She was lying in bed, unable to sleep, when he entered without knocking because they were past that now. He got into bed, brought her into his arms, and kissed her with an intensity that stole her breath. Taeyang, we shouldn't. I researched, he said against her lips. I understand now. I love you, Jessica. I want to show you. And he did. He was thorough in his research, asking throughout if this or that was okay, checking constantly for her comfort and pleasure. Little touches, intense touches. Does this hurt? He made sure she was satisfied before allowing himself the same. When it was over, he said, "Thank you," and left. Every night for the next week, the pattern repeated. They would make love. He would say thank you. He would leave. Jessica felt herself breaking a little more each time. Quick question. Do you think relationships would be much easier if we all approached love methodically and researched it like Taeyoung? Comment below to share your thoughts. Alright, let's go back to the present day. Now there were roses. 100 perfect red roses, and Jessica couldn't bear it anymore. "I quit," she said again, her voice steadier now. Taeyoung's face went through a series of micro-expressions she'd learned to read over these months: confusion, panic, something that might have been pain. "You can't quit. Watch me." She moved to walk past him, but he caught her wrist. Not hard, just enough to stop her. "I don't understand." His voice cracked. "I did everything right. I researched Valentine's Day. Red roses mean love. I ordered 100 because you're worth more than the standard dozen. I wrote the card myself. The florist said the handwriting was important. I did everything right. That's the problem." Jessica's voice rose. "You researched me like I'm one of your investment portfolios. You studied love like it's an algorithm to crack. That's how I understand things." His hand dropped from her wrist. "That's the only way I know how. Then let me explain it in a way you'll understand." Jessica's eyes burned. "Every night, you come to my room. We make love. You say thank you as if I've done you a service, and you leave. Do you know what that feels like? Like I'm an experiment. A learning experience. Like I'm your research subject, not someone you love. But I do love you." The words came out frustrated, almost angry. "I wouldn't have sex with someone I don't love. You told me that yourself. Saying the words isn't enough, Taeyoung. Then what do you want?" He was pacing now, hands in his hair. "I don't understand the rules. You said we were past asking, so I stopped asking. You said I needed to say I love you, so I researched what that meant and I said it. I gave you roses because that's what the internet says to do on Valentine's Day. What else is there?" Jessica felt tears on her cheeks. "You stay. That's what else there is. You stay and hold me. You talk to me about things that aren't instructions or research. You let me see that this is hard for you too, that you're scared too, that I matter beyond being a problem to solve." Taeyoung stopped pacing. He stood very still, processing. "I'm always scared," he said quietly. "That's why I research. That's why I need patterns and rules. Because I'm terrified I'll do the wrong thing and you'll look at me the way others do. Like I'm broken. You're not broken." "Yes, I am." His voice was flat. "I'm 26 years old, and I had to Google how to tell someone I love them. I had to practice kissing like it's a presentation I'm giving to investors. I have to study emotion like a foreign language because my brain doesn't process it the way yours does." Jessica stepped closer. "Do you know what I see when I look at you?" He finally met her eyes, just for a second. "I see someone who tries harder than anyone I've ever met. Someone who cares so much that he memorized my favorite color, even though I only mentioned it once. Someone who does my dishes because he noticed I come back late from classes exhausted. Someone who read an entire romance novel just to understand what I might want. Those things are easy," he whispered. "No, they're not. They're love, Taeyoung. Maybe you don't feel it the way books describe. Maybe you don't experience it like everyone else, but you live it. Every single day. You just don't stay long enough for me to show you that I see it." Silence stretched between them, heavy and fragile. "I leave," Taeyoung said slowly, "because I'm afraid if I stay, you'll realize I don't know what to do next. That I'll do something wrong. That the electricity will stop and you'll see I'm just me. Just you is who I fell in love with, you impossible man." His eyes widened. "You love me. Of course I love you. Why do you think I'm so angry? Why do you think it hurts so much when you leave?" Jessica grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. "I don't need you to be perfect. I don't need grand gestures you researched on the internet. I just need you. The real you. Scared, brilliant, awkward, Trying too hard, you. Taeyoung's hands hovered near her face, uncertain. Can I touch you? Yes. Always yes. He cupped her face carefully, as if she were something precious that might shatter. I love you, Jessica. Not because I researched it. Not because a book told me to. But because when you walk into a room, everything makes more sense. Because your voice is the only sound that doesn't overwhelm me. Because you see me really see me, and you don't look away. Jessica kissed him then, hard and desperate and full of 3 months of need. When they broke apart, she whispered, if you leave after this, I really will quit. I'm not leaving. He pressed his forehead to hers, an intimacy that felt even more profound than anything they'd shared before. I researched that too. Staying is part of love. I was just afraid I'd do it wrong. You can't do it wrong. Jessica pulled him toward her small bed. There's no wrong way to stay. They lay together in the darkness of her room, fully clothed for once, just holding each other. Taeyoung's arms around her felt different now, not practiced, but present. Tell me something, Jessica said softly. What? Anything. Something you've never told anyone. He was quiet for so long she thought he might not answer. Then, sometimes I watch you through the security cameras before I come to your room. Jessica stiffened. That's a little creepy, Taeyoung. I know, but I watch you to prepare myself. To see what mood you're in, so I know how to act. If you're studying, I know you might want quiet. If you're crying, his voice softened, I know to bring tea. I'm not good at reading people in real time. I need preparation. Instead of anger, Jessica felt her heart break open a little more. You bring me tea when I'm sad? I leave it outside your door. You always find it. She had found mysterious cups of perfectly steeped tea appearing outside her room, always exactly when she needed them. She'd thought it was one of the older maids being kind. What else? I learned your schedule by heart. Every class, every break, every time you come back to your room. Not to control you, to know when I'd see you next. It helps with the anxiety. The anxiety about what? About everything. His hand found hers under the blanket, lacing their fingers together. About saying the wrong thing. About touching you wrong. About you realizing you could do so much better than someone who has to practice being normal. You're not practicing being normal, Jessica said fiercely. You're being you. And you is exactly who I want. The roses, he started. The roses are beautiful. But I would have been just as happy with one rose and you staying the night. I'll remember that. One rose, staying the night. She could hear him filing the information away. What else should I remember? Jessica smiled into the darkness. This isn't a test, Taeyoung. There's no perfect formula. But there are patterns. Things that make you happy. I want to know them all. Okay, she thought about it. I like when you hum while you work, even though you don't realize you're doing it. I like when you text me random facts you learned. I like when you unconsciously sync your breathing with mine when we're close like this. I do that. You do. What else? They talked through the night, trading observations, confessions, tiny intimacies that somehow felt more vulnerable than anything physical. Jessica learned that he color-coded his research notes about relationships, green for successful interactions, red for mistakes. That he kept a journal of things she said that he didn't understand, so he could look them up later. That he'd nearly canceled the rose order 3 times because he was terrified it was too much. Taeyoung learned that Jessica talked to herself when she was nervous. That she'd failed her last quiz because she'd been too distracted thinking about him. That the first time he'd kissed her, she'd gone back to her room and cried because it was exactly like the books promised, and she'd never thought she'd have that. Why were you crying? He asked. Because I was falling in love with someone I thought couldn't love me back. But I do love you back. I've loved you since the first time you didn't flinch when I stared too long. Since you smiled at me like I was normal when I asked those stupid questions about kissing. They weren't stupid questions. They were. Normal people don't need instruction manuals for relationships. Normal is overrated, Jessica said firmly. And for the record, everyone's faking it. Everyone's anxious and uncertain and afraid of doing the wrong thing. You're just honest about it. Taeyoung was quiet, processing. Then, I should probably mention that my parents are coming home next week. Jessica's stomach dropped. Oh, They'll want to meet the woman I've been spending every night with. The staff talks. My parents know everything that happens in this house. What will they say? My mother will probably cry with joy that I found someone. My father will run a background check on you and have 12 concerns about propriety. They're both very protective. Because of the autism? Because I'm their son. His thumb traced patterns on her palm. But yes, also that. They worry I'll be taken advantage of. That someone will see me as vulnerable or use me. I would never. I know, but they'll need to see that for themselves. He shifted to look at her in the dim light. Are you willing to meet them? To make this official? Or was this just what? An experiment for you too. Jessica grabbed his face with both hands, forcing him to look at her directly despite his discomfort. Tae-young Choi, you listen to me. This is not an experiment. You are not a phase. I don't care if I have to meet your parents, your entire extended family, and every business associate you've ever had. I love you. Not the version of you that you think you're supposed to be, the actual you. Relief flooded his features. Okay, I'll arrange dinner. But I should warn you, my mother will definitely cry. She cries at commercials. A real girlfriend will destroy her composure completely. Real girlfriend. Jessica tested the words. Is that what I am? What else would you be? I researched the terminology. We've been intimate, we've expressed love for each other, and we spend significant time together. The consensus is that makes you my girlfriend. Unless you prefer partner? The article said that's more modern. Jessica laughed, the sound bubbling up despite everything. Girlfriend is perfect. Good. I'll update my emergency contact information to include you. That's very romantic. I'm being practical. If something happens to me, you should be notified. Also, I'd like to add you to my investment portfolio so you can stop working as a maid and focus on your studies. Tae-yeon, it's logical. You're here because you need money for tuition. I have significant financial resources. The solution is obvious. I can't just take your money. Why not? You're my girlfriend. The internet says partners support each other's goals. Your goal is graduating debt-free. My goal is ensuring you have the resources to succeed. He said it as if it were the simplest equation in the world. That's not how it works. Why not? Jessica opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Because really, why not? She'd been raised to be independent, to never rely on anyone. But isn't that what love was? Letting someone help you? Letting someone care? We'll discuss it, she conceded. That's what people say when they mean yes, but want to maintain the illusion of independence. You're learning. I have an excellent teacher. He kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. Soft kisses, unhurried. Can I stay tonight? Yes. And tomorrow night? Yes. What about? Tae-young, you can stay every night for the rest of our lives if you want. He went very still. The rest of our lives is a long time. Too long. Not long enough, he whispered, and kissed her like he was trying to prove it. Epilogue. 1 year later. The roses became a tradition, though now it was 1 rose instead of 100, delivered personally instead of left mysteriously on her vanity. Jessica had graduated, and instead of moving out, she'd moved up into Tae-young's wing of the house, into his life, into his future. His parents had indeed cried, his mother, and run a background check, his father, but ultimately they'd welcomed her with the same protective love they showed their son. They recognized what Jessica had seen from the beginning, that she didn't see Tae-young as a project or a challenge, but simply as the man she loved. Tae-young still researched relationships, but now he ran his findings by Jessica first. The internet says couples should have a date night once a week. I've created a spreadsheet of possible activities ranked by your interest level based on previous conversations. Of course you did. Is that wrong? It's very you, Jessica said, kissing him. And I love very you. He still said thank you after they made love, but now he stayed. They'd fall asleep tangled together, and Jessica would wake to find him watching her with that same intense focus he'd had from the beginning, but now without the fear behind it. What are you thinking? She'd ask. That I researched happiness once. Tried to understand the metrics, the variables. But I was using the wrong data set. What do you mean? Happiness isn't something you calculate or achieve. It's this. Right now, you sleeping in my arms, the sound of your breathing, knowing that when you wake up, you'll smile at me like I'm exactly who you want to see. You are exactly who I want to see. I know. He'd say it with wonder every time, as if the reality of being loved was still a revelation. I finally understand what the book meant about electricity. It's not just the kissing. It's everything. Every moment with you feels like touching a live wire. That's dangerously poetic for someone who claims to be bad at emotions. I have an excellent teacher, he'd say, and kiss her until they both forgot about research and metrics and everything except the reality of loving someone exactly as they are. The red roses stood in a vase on their shared dresser, a reminder that love doesn't always follow a formula. Sometimes it's messy and awkward and requires practice. Sometimes it means learning a new language, one where actions speak louder than words and staying is more powerful than any researched grand gesture. But most of all, it's about finding someone who sees past the instruction manuals and spreadsheets to the person underneath, and loving them, not in spite of who they are, but because of it. 100 roses had brought them together. But one rose, given with presence and staying power, kept them that way. The end. Thank you so much for staying until the end. I really enjoy bringing you stories every week. Please like, comment, and share for more. Until the next diary is uncovered, you can check out more at the channel Flaming Hearts Diaries. Take care.